All right, you always want to, on a day when we're just spending more money, good money after bad, and we're up against another budget deadline and this talk that Washington could shut down, you wonder, surely there are ways to avoid this sort of thing. And there are, if you can just get rid of the silly stuff in the budget. There's a lot of ways. Senator Jeff Flake goes through it line by line. It's not a pretty job, but someone has to do it. And he's been using a Star Wars type analogy to address that sort of thing. Explain.
Well, we try to time the release of some of our research on, timely events, and Star Wars was big, and so we called it the Farce Awakens, and so it's kind of timed to the release and had a good reception.
Well, I think it's a brilliant idea, but some of the ways you're governed, I always look when this comes out, way back to your forebearer, William Proxmire, would have the Fleece Awards and all this other.
Right.
What are some of the more notorious examples? I thought the shrimp running on treadmills was one thing, but monkeys running on treadmills? What are we to make of that?
Yeah, Dr. Tom Coburn a couple of years ago found the shrimp on a treadmill. We didn't think we could top that, but we actually found video footage of monkeys on a treadmill. But these monkeys are in, these rodent balls on a treadmill. And what kind of research, what they're trying to discover with that, we really have no idea, and I don't think they do either.
All right, now some of this seems like chump change in the scheme of things when you look at anything that's $1,000 or $276,000, but it all adds up. The one thing I found interesting is find out how unattractive people date attractive people. Had I known the results of that study, I might have had a much more promising high school dating career, but that never happened. But who authorizes and approves these grants, these studies?
Well, these are agencies. It used to be that a lot of these were congressional earmarks where members of Congress would identify, or in collaboration with their local university or whatever. But these aren't congressional earmarks now. These are the federal agencies, whether it's NIH or National Science Foundation, that's a lot of them, just decide what research they want to fund. And whether it's $1.3 million to see if koozies actually keep beer or other cool drinks cold, or $5 million to try to convince hipsters, which first the federal government has to define a hipster to get them to stop smoking somehow, which involves cash
But Senator,
gifts.
This has got to have an intended audience, right? Or is it just busy work and keep some people employed?
I don't know. Sometimes you think that they think we've got a pot of money, we'd better spend it by the end of the year, and let's give it out. But I mean, on some of these, you just scratch your head and you think they've got to realize this is going to be ridiculed out there. I mean, the Shrimp Fight Club, speaking of shrimp, I think Duke University got $700,000 to pit shrimp against each other, 34 species, and I don't know what useful research. It supposedly has military applications, but if we ever go to war with shrimp, maybe. But anyway.
It is wild stuff. Senator, thank you very much for taking the time. All right.